Hello, welcome to Math 103, Mathematical Reasoning Online. I'm your instructor, Douglas Halchbrattle. This video I'm creating is just an overview of the course. I want to show you some of the expectations, where to find things, just talk about the course a little bit, get you started. First off, you should have found this video in D2L. That's important for the course, where you're going to find lots of things like the syllabus, exam reviews, formula sheets. I will contact you through D2L. I'll put announcements about the course. So just a really good place to check for information. However, most of the homework and quizzes for the course will actually be completed through MyLab Math. There are links in D12 connecting to MyLab Math. It's a website run by the book publisher Pearson that we use for completing homework and quizzes. It gives you a nice immediate response to your homework problems. So it's a great tool, and then we make use of that. A little bit about myself. I am an instructor with Black Hills State. I've been working for Black Hills State since 2015. I teach a lot of the different general education math. I do remedial math, college algebra. I do this course, mathematical reasoning. I do statistics. I teach math for elementary teachers. So I cover a lot of different things. I do work at the Rapid City campus. I'm not in Spearfish, so if you're looking for me, you do have to look in Rapid City. For this course, like I said, we'll be using MyLab Math. You will need to get into there this first week. That's kind of the big thing, is making sure you can access D2L and access MyLab Math. Make sure you can get into the homework during this first week. That's really the big expectation. Once you've gotten in there and you've read the syllabus, which is posted in both locations, so you kind of understand how grades work and all that kind of stuff, then you'll start doing the homework. There are homework sets in MyLab Math. Each section of the book that we cover will have its own homework set. After about 2 to 3 homeworks, there will be a quiz that you cover. And then after we cover the homework for a unit, then you'll have a unit exam. We'll cover 4 units in this course. Because of this course being very kind of a survey course of math, we're not going really deep in any one field. Every unit's going to be very separate from the rest. Like the first unit is personal finance. Second one is statistics. Third is probability. And the last, we actually get to cover math and the arts. So every unit's going to be very different. We're not going to have a cumulative exam for this course. We'll just have 4 unit exams, one after each unit. Unit exams you will complete with a proctor. You'll do those in person with your proctor. So that is part of the requirements for this course. You do need to be able to find a proctor and do this test with that proctor. Proctor can definitely be someone in your area. You don't need to come to Rapid City to come take the exams. If you are in Rapid City, Spearfish, or some of the other big cities in South Dakota, you can take your tests with the testing centers in those locations. I have provided a proctor form. It should be posted in my lab and D2L, and it has listed some testing centers that are available that I encourage you to work with. That'll be at the top of the sheet. You would just check a box next to your location and just go to that testing center for your tests. If you're not at those locations or you can't schedule at any of those locations, then you'll need to find your own proctor. This could be a teacher, a librarian, kind of a professional person that you're not related to, living with. It shouldn't be an immediate family member or someone you're rooming with. It should be someone that you work with in a professional type setting, or you found in a professional setting. You'll submit the proctor form to me completed with their information, and then I will send exams to them as they come up as we get closer to exam time. There's a due date for the proctor exam, so just make sure you watch that, the proctor form. Make sure you watch that due date and get that submitted on time. That way I have the information for where you're testing. I do need to know if you're proctoring one of the testing centers, because I'm not going to send the exam to all the testing centers every semester, because sometimes I don't have any students at those testing centers. So I need to know which one you're testing at, so I can make sure I only send tests to the testing centers that need them. So that's the testing center, the proctor form. Get that in. That'll needs to be done before that first exam. Get that done by the due date, so we have that ready and you're ready to go for that first exam. All the homework and quizzes, like I said, are complete at my lab. They're all online. You can access the homework and leave it and come back and forth and complete it as you can. You get multiple attempts on every single problem. The quiz, you do get multiple attempts on a quiz, but you submit quizzes all at once. Watch due dates. The due dates are posted in MyLab Math for the homework and the quizzes. So make sure you're watching those due dates and getting things done on time. You can complete them late, but there's a penalty. You lose 10% points for submitting work late. So it's better to make sure you get all that on time to get as much points as you can for the homework and quizzes. grades are laid out in the syllabus. You'll see that we have the homework, the quizzes, there are a couple of semester projects, the exams. Those are all going to be part of your grades. So you make sure you complete all of those things. The exams are going to be the biggest part of your grade, so make sure those 4 exams are ready for those by doing all the homework and the quizzes. I do have reviews that are posted both in D2L and MyLab Math. They are just kind of a short version of the exam. There's a paper and pencil review. That's the one that's a lot like the exam. Then there's also in MyLab actually little kind of reviews that are built into my math lab. They're a little more similar to the homework and quizzes. They're not quite as good as the paper and pencil review. That's going to be probably more like the actual test, but they are still a good way to practice everything we've covered in a unit. There are formula sheets posted in both places. You will get to use a formula sheet with the exam. So I'll be using the same formula sheet you have access to in D2L MyLab. So it's good to practice with those when you're doing the homework and the quizzes. Practice with that formula sheet so you are comfortable with it and ready to use it when you get to the exam. There are some formulas I have changed a little bit on the formula sheet versus on the MyLab Math, the book's version of the formulas. Some of them I think I've made them a little simpler, or made them a little more realistic. Some of the formulas they changed letters to, make them the way they wanted them, but it's not very common usage. So I kind of changed to what's more common usage on a few formulas. So use the formula sheet. That's the best way to practice to be ready for it with the test. We do have 2 semester projects, like I mentioned. I will send out emails as we get closer to those. They will have due dates. You'll need to complete those and submit them. The projects, versus tests, projects are nicer because you are welcome to ask for help with the projects. You do need to complete your own project. You shouldn't be letting someone else do your project. You shouldn't be doing someone else's project. Your project should be different than everybody else's. If you come to me with a project that has the exact same answer as someone else's, I know something went wrong, because that shouldn't happen. Everybody should be picking out their own starting conditions for these projects. The one's about buying a house, everybody's gonna be picking out different houses and getting different loans. Second one's about looking at a bag of M&Ms and doing a study on the colors, and everybody's gonna have a different bag of M&Ms, a different number of colors. So it will be pretty obvious if you let someone else do your project or you did someone else's project. So make sure you do your own, but you're definitely welcome to get help with them. Come to me, ask me questions, via the email. Let me know if you need help with those. You're welcome to work at the tutoring center, or if you have a classmate that is in the same class, you guys can work together. Of course, you shall both be submitting your own projects. You should be submitting the same project to someone else. Mentioned homework, quizzes, exams. That's going to be the big thing of the grades. Again, exams will be completed with your proctor. You can use a calculator in all exams. I recommend using the TI-30 XS. This is probably backwards, but this is kind of gives you an idea what the calculator looks like. That's the one I'll be using for the notes. I will post video lectures for this course, and I'll be using this calculator in those video lectures. You can use any calculator. If you have a graphing calculator you already want to use, that's fine. You don't need a graphing calculator for this class. You don't need to go out and buy one. That's why I mentioned the TI-30, because that does everything we need for this course, and that's what I'll be using, so you can kind of get an idea. Mine's the multi-view. It just has a bigger screen, so you can show more work as you're going. But any TI-30 is probably going to be about the same, have the same buttons, that kind of thing. Like I mentioned, getting help is good. Getting in contact with me is great. You can email me. My email's on the syllabus. You can email me through D2L. Also, when you're in my lab doing the homework, there are some help options. There are videos you can watch that cover the material. There are help me solve this and do an example that will work through a problem and kind of show you what to do. But one of my favorite options is actually the Ask My Instructor option. That actually emails me your question, so I know exactly what question you're working on. And if you put in some answers, it will actually show me the answer you put in, so I can kind of see maybe what's wrong with it. Most of the time, it's just nice to be able to see exactly what problem you're looking at, and then I can talk to you about how to solve it and double check. I can even see if the problem's not working correctly. That doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, it's just a mistake we're making, but that's a great tool. So use the Ask My Instructor button. Think of it as like if you were in class in high school and you could just raise your hand and ask the teacher a question about your homework that you were trying to finish. That's basically the equivalent now that we're doing this online digitally. That's what your way of, raise your hand and say, hey, I have a question about this. And I'm not picky about when you email me. You can email me late in the day, early in the morning. I'm not going to get to it necessarily right away. I'll get to it as soon as I can. I try to get to emails within about 24 hours as much as possible. On the weekends, it's probably more like 48 hours because there's lots of stuff going on the weekends. But I try to get to those pretty quick. Don't expect to respond within the hour every time you email me. That's not going to happen. A lot of times I'll be in class, I'll be doing other things, but I try to get back to you within 24 hours on all emails as much as I can. Hopefully that gives you kind of an idea about what to expect for the course. I will be posting more lecture videos, like I said. There'll be links in my math lab in D2L. The homework is all laid out in my math lab. It's all open and available right now. You could work pretty far ahead if you want to. I do not suggest going past the first exam, since you want to make sure you're staying in that material until you take that first exam, and then probably move on to Unit 2 once we've taken that first exam. And I will have the exams, I will send them in proctors at least about 2 weeks before they're due. So that way you have the 2-week window where you can clean it during those 2 weeks with your proctor. You will be responsible for contacting your proctor, scheduling your exam, that kind of thing. Even if you're using one of those testing centers, you do need to contact those test centers and schedule your exams. They have usually times, and they only have so many times available. That's part of why I send those out 2 weeks at a time. I want you to have lots of time to schedule with your proctor and make sure you can get a time to get that done and get it done on time. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully, that gives you an idea what to expect for the course. Everything I've mentioned in this video pretty much is in the syllabus. So if you have any questions about this, the syllabus is a great place to look through and see answers for all your questions. And of course, if you can't find it in there, let me know. I'm happy to help. I hope you have a great semester, and I'm sure you will communicate throughout the semester via email, and hopefully, you have a great time in this course. Thank you.